So we are on. Okay, so welcome for those of you joining us on the live stream. My name's Dr. Michael McMorrow. I'm the senior minister here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills. We're located in the North San Fernando Valley in Southern California. We welcome all who practice their beliefs in faith and love. And so I welcome you to our Let's Get Real and Heal meditation service. And I'm joined tonight with the wonderful Beverly Scott and with friends in the sanctuary as well. And today's 2 days before St. Patrick's Day. So Mike, you want to do a close-up of this? Oh, yeah. So you can't smell it online, of course. And maybe those in the sanctuary wish they couldn't smell it here. I don't know. But this is a turf that I brought back. This is from County Mayo, where my mom's family is from, my cousin Martina and Patrick and the rest. And so this time of year, I like to burn a little bit, and because it kind of kicks in that sense memory. So it's been kind of rainy and warm. So the weather here has been kind of like a day in early summer in Ireland. So anyway, so that's what I'm about tonight. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But for now, let's do what we like to do here by taking a deep conscious breath and release. And in that release, we're just allowing ourselves to surrender to this eternal now moment as we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. The fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this evening. So as Beverly lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And the 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here in our sanctuary, within our online community, and of course within our own hearts. And as Beverly now lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. surrender, I surrender. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God.
Acknowledging that there is one present, one mind, one life. This present mind and life is our Creator, our great Shepherd, the allness, Atman. Call him what you will, but just know that this ultimate present being, I am, this babe that is incarnation of the Spirit. And I love knowing that truth for each and every one of us. I stand in the knowing this evening that the presence is here with us as we spend the next hour in meditation, in gratitude, in peace. I am one with the allness. And each breath I take reaffirms who I am and who I'm becoming. I want to speak a word for the meditation service this evening, giving thanks for Reverend Dr. Michael McMorrow, who spiritually guides us and directs us. Giving thanks to Mike for making all this possible online here in the sanctuary. I'm thankful for each and every one that has made it out in person and that is online to receive and let it be this evening. My realization is knowing the truth that I am open and receptive to God's living Spirit and truth. I release these words into the activity of law, which only knows to say yes, knowing without a shadow of a doubt, Spirit is here with us. My words go forward, true, complete, and instant. It is done, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you each and every one that's here and those that are joined us online. Here we are, Wednesday. My favorite day because I get a reboot, the reboot to be in fellowship with like minds. I wanted to speak tonight about one of my spiritual practices is a sacred study, reading. Science of Mind, daily guides I can't make it through the day without it. Sometimes my schedule will get me ahead of myself, but I always find time. If I miss it in the morning, I'll get it by noon. If I miss it by noon, I have it before I go to sleep. So I bring this up because I was so happy to be able to meet a month ago Reverend Dr. Michael God. He's a senior minister in Houston, CSL Unity, formerly, I believe, if I'm incorrect. But I was at the Practitioner Summit in January. He spoke. And what he spoke on, 3 things stood out to me because he was speaking about be yourself. This month's Science of Mind magazine is authenticity. Be yourself. So as I was reading, I ran across his talk that he did. And what I could see him as I was reading on stage, so much energy. And the 3 things that stood out: inspiration, encouragement, empowerment. Those things come from being yourself. Those things I am. Those are gifts that I give joyously, cheerfully. I feel like I'm in the flow. And so, I am myself. And reading the article and just being in my mind back there, listening to him, it all came full force. Sometimes being yourself to the outside people, they don't understand you, they misjudge you, they don't know. But I have accepted and I claim it. I am going to be myself. So I'm going to move forward and share something that I picked up, a quote from Brene Brown. She says, "The only people who don't care what others think are sociopaths." So, wow. Okay. I believe it's in all of us, a little bit. But we're going to let our divine nature, I'm letting my divine nature overshadow my sociopathness. I might have made that word up. But I thought that was a wonderful quote by Bree because it does tell the truth. The only people who don't care what others think are sociopaths. So let's not care. Be the best that you can be. Let's not care about what people think when we're doing our good. We're born of good. So that's what we emanate, express. So the key is not to be ignorant of how we are perceived, but to live our lives from our spiritual essence, regardless of whether or not it's what others expect and desire of us. In truth, when we fully live from our authenticity, we bring our gifts to humanity. When we show up as who we really are, and when we tell the truth about our experiences, because that's really all we can do to be effective and be heard. That's when we really serve others. That's when I feel I am serving others. There is only one life. When we truly seek to live our highest and best choices, we serve the whole world. Today, being authentic is showing up as your genuine, original self. We come from the source of life, and we are now life, and we are how life reveals itself to the world. Together, let's be ourselves, because everyone else is taken. My affirmation: I am the life of God expressed in individuality. I honor my unique expression. I love who I am. Today, I'm willing to be myself fully and authentically. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. That's attributed to Oscar Wilde. Thank you for sharing this moment with me and letting me express being myself. I do have some announcements I'd like to share. Always, if you would like someone to speak with or talk to or request prayer, please visit CSLGH.org. There's always a practitioner available. Again, cannot state it enough. First and third Sundays, our youth church is back at full swing. Please do visit us. Reverend Nicole is our youth coordinator. Sangha 6-week Sangha with Reverend Nick is also, it began today, March 15th, 9:30 to 11:30, online. Thank you. Please.
So, Beverly, can you take this and
Pass it around?
yeah.
Sure.
So you guys weren't here earlier. I'm burning a little piece of turf up on the that I brought back from Ireland with me. If you're wondering what that old tire smell is, or however you're interpreting it. So this time of year is, a couple days from St. Patrick's Day, and it's a big day in my family. We usually had a big party, a big huli on where everybody came around. So it was a good time. And the weather's been, just been so green and wet these last few weeks. And then as I'm sitting here, as we're doing the opening ritual, there's something about that sense memory. I don't know if so Reverend Nancy grew up on the farm, but if there's certain smells that, take you back to places that have strong memories. And book Consolations writes this about nostalgia. And he writes that nostalgia is the arriving waveform of a dynamic past, newly remembered and about to be reimagined by a mind and a body at last ready to come to terms with what actually occurred. Nostalgia subverts the present by its overwhelming physical connection to a person or a place, to a time in which we lived, or to a person with whom we lived, making us wonder in the meeting of past and present, feel like an indulgence, a sickness, an indignation by forces beyond us, but strangely forces that have also lived is not indulgence. Nostalgia tells us we are in the presence of imminent revelation, about to break through the present structures held together by the way we have remembered something we thought we understood, not fully lived, issuing not from our future, but from something already experienced enough. Something now wanting to be lived again at the depth. Nostalgia is not an immersion in the past. Nostalgia is the first annunciation that the past as we know it is coming to an end. And within that, of course, I think Eckhart totally was onto something when he created, I guess you would call it a helpful metaphor when he talked about people have a pain body and a joint and a joy, and it is our willingness and our ability to heal the pain body that allows us to experience more joy in our life, which I think is, I don't know about you, but I know for myself, having a little less runway out in front of me than I did several years, that cultivate that and also emanate from it, peace, serenity, harmony, a sense of wholeheartedness, and also an intuitive into getting things settled within my own mind that have to do with my own past. And if you've been in my office and seen there's a photograph up there that my son took when we were there, and we're up on the bog, and he's sitting there, and it's the valley and Loch McNain and the surrounding area. And he was probably 80-ish. And he had an experience of my dad as I didn't really see him as elderly, but just, he, didn't quite have the same steam. And he and I had a complicated relationship. Just put it that way. But what I have, there's a sweetness, and I think this is why I just kind of naturally landed on the nostalgia and having it tie into St. Patrick's Day and all of that, is that the things that we locked horns on now are just kind of, they've turned more into amusing stories forward of times where we were where we had some one-on-one time, even as a kid, which was significant because I had 6 siblings. So getting one-on-one time with either one of your parents was a rare occurrence. And so the reason why I bring that up is we've just finished up this foundations class, and as a to say you're an instructor in a science of mind class is kind of a misnomer, right? Because they're all adult learners, right? So it's not like, you pull the wisdom wherever you get it. And then the benefit, of course, is that we too get to revisit things. And so as I'm witnessing in real time, people really healing stuff that up until now may have been getting in the way, I'm witnessing that within myself as well. And which is an experience, because there's, if you sit long enough and consistently enough, stuff's going to come up. And we've got this whole thing going on in here. We may be sitting like this, right? Stone Buddha, but this is off somewhere else. And then another time it may come up, and it'll just be a neutral observance. It arises, and we watch it. We see it arising, and then we don't attach to it. And so we get it then into a meditative flow. And at the end of the meditation, have a sense of, well, again, for lack of a better word, wholeheartedness. And it's not something that I was familiar with in my younger years, I'll just put it that way. And because in the granola years, I used to take a couple hits off a doobie and sit there and meditate and think I was meditating and kind of waiting for something to happen, right? And of course, I'm sure I got some benefit from sitting, but mostly I was just getting high, right? I'm not talking about yesterday. I'm talking about like 40 years ago or more. So it's just kind of funny to observe these things and to see and to witness our own unfoldment, I suppose, by means of others, which is one of the great things about spiritual community that I'm really appreciating more as I'm getting older, I suppose. So let's get to meditating. And if you're not going to have the same connection, if you can even smell the turf burning where you're at. So let's just take a deep breath. And if you can, it does have a very earthy smell to it. So let's maybe just imagine ourselves really being anchored in the earth, through our feet, checking our seat tonight. And allowing ourselves to consider the day and these last few days where we've really been anchored in weather, anchored in the idea that we are part of the natural environment, that we are it is part of us and we are part of it. That we are the individualized expression of the creative impulse of life. So maybe allow ourselves to become aware of our oneness with the earth, a very basic, almost primitive kind of way. And use the sensations that arise tonight to just observe that the expression of the body. As we observe the product of that, the mind. So we take a deep conscious breath together and feel the release and the surrender to the moment. Focusing on the breath, first on the inhale. So we observe the body with this exchange with the breath. With its ebb and flow. The rise and fall. The inhale, the exhale. Staying with the breath. Take it one more deep breath together. And on the exhale, just feel just a wee bit more of a surrender as we then focus our breath on the exhale. Deep breath. And exhale as we move into the silence now for about 15 minutes. attention gently back into the room, taking a deep breath. And on the exhale, allowing our attention to move to the heart as the flame within, the flame of the divine within, reveals itself. And so with each in-breath, we're now fanning that flame. Keeping our focus on the breath. Allowing this flame to grow. In size and radiance. The light of the Sacred Heart within, glowing in its radiance, illumination, a fire that illuminates rather than consumes. So with each in-breath, it expands just a wee bit more. We feel our chest opening. With each inhale, our heart center expanding. As we breathe in light and exhale love. Breathing in, feeling that exchange, the replenishment as the light from without mingles with the light within, releasing this exchange of that which is no longer needed is gently released with each exhale. At this light now extending beyond the body, torso, side to side, front to back, top to bottom, sitting in this globe, this field of light and love. Expanding with each in-breath, releasing on the exhale, expanding, releasing. So now the very room in which we occupy is now filled with this field of light and love, extending even beyond the confines of the physical, commingling with our friends on this call both now and later, knowing that the spirit is not bound by time or space. So in this field of light and love, now we are now witnessing, giving witness to the expression of the divine in this moment. That we call forth our cares, concerns, aspirations, taking a deep breath and releasing, and just releasing them consciously now into this field of light and love, as we know together that there is but one power, one presence, one source, one life, one living intelligence, the divine creative impulse of life that is both impressing and expressing itself in, through, and as all of life, in, through, and as our life. That we are one in mind and heart with the infinite. So as we're releasing our cares, concerns, aspirations for the day, we know we are releasing it to that aspect of the mind of the divine that knows only to say yes as the perfect law of its own being. So we allow this energetic now to activate at the deepest aspects of the body temple, every atom, every molecule, every cell, every organ, every muscle, every bone, every sinew is now activated and aligning with a pattern of perfection for which this logical result of this alignment is the expression of radiant good health throughout the body temple. So we take a deep breath and release that. That we know for our mind, that we open our mind now to the creative impulse of life itself, allowing a divine download of creativity that has within it the solution to any seeming challenge that has presented itself to us in the last week, that we are capturing these ideas now easily, without nets or struggle, just allowing them to settle in for our recognition either immediately or later, that we're just confident in knowing they are there. So we just feel a sense of gratitude of knowing that there is a shift set in motion even now, that we take a deep breath and release, so that finally the heart now is open and receptive to love, to compassion, to empathy, to friendship, to this exchange of life where we are intuitively drawn to like-minded folks, that they are intuitively drawn to the wholehearted aspect of our being, that we experience a sense of release in this moment. And as we know that our heart is fortified in the gentlest of ways, the most courageous of ways, to express loving kindness and compassion within ourselves and for all beings. And take a deep breath and release. So then in this final release, then just knowing that as we leave here tonight, that we arrive home safely and in good order, that we make our way through the rest of this evening, arriving to our beds, drifting off easily to sleep, sleeping deeply, restfully, dreaming sweet dreams, that we awaken feeling fully rested, restored, revitalized, full of vim and vigor and a zest for life, that we awaken feeling excited and energetic for the day to come. Taking a deep breath one more time for the final release. Just releasing all of it now to that aspect of the mind, of the living spirit that knows only to say yes, yes, my beloved, yes, in you I am well pleased. So we just release it to its divine unfoldment with deep gratitude and confidence, knowing it is done, knowing it is so. Together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Amen. So thank you for joining us here in the sanctuary. Thank you for joining us online. And for those of you who are online, I just want to give you a shout out for your continued support of our Wednesday night service. It's very, it's helpful, of course, in keeping the lights on and so forth, but it's also very gratifying to know that you're getting something out of this, because I know I am. So thank you for joining me. Thank you all for joining us in-house. And so if you're new to this service, we do meet on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock in person if you're local. And if you're out of the area, at 10:30 Pacific Daylight Time. And this week you don't have to change the clock, so isn't that good? So I hope we see you there. We have Teresa James is in the house this week, so she always brings it, and just delightful, and hope to see you then. Till then, know that you're loved. Peace and blessings, and we'll see you next time.